Dosto, good morning. Welcome back to another session. I would say another episode of what I'm going to talk about. And this time I'm going to talk about America. आप जानते हो कि अमेरिका में a general election is coming up. I think the voting is today on the 4th of November. And the two contenders are, of course, as we all know, Kamala Harris. She's an Indian origin lady. And then opposing her is the Republican candidate, Donald Trump. So, who's going to win? I think if you go fair and square, and what the reports are saying, it's likely that Donald Trump will win the election. But there's an old saying, many a slip between the cup and the lip, and anything can happen. Let's not forget that Donald Trump faced 3 assassination attempts. And probably I wouldn't be surprised if there was an inside job, because the second attempt was on the race course, on the golf course when he was playing golf at the sixth hole. And it's a mystery how the killer knew that Donald Trump would be at the sixth hole at that particular time. So obviously it's an inside job. That means the military economic complex of America, I can't name them here, are not keen that Donald Trump should come back to power. But if the election is held, as I said, fair and square, Donald Trump will win hands down. But then there's, as I've just mentioned, many a slip between the cup and the lip. You know what happened last time. When the votes were being counted, Donald was leading. But when the postal ballots were brought in, what happened then? Joe Biden won. And there was a lot of anger in America at the result. I won't say the election was rigged, but definitely there were signs that it was not a normal election. Now, coming down to the present time, we already heard the cases that so many ballot boxes have been burnt. It's a very, very serious matter, and I'm sure the Supreme Court of the United States will take cognization of this matter. But unfortunately, I don't know what's going to happen now. Well, the election is there, and the Americans have a peculiar system of election. They have what is called the electoral ballot. Now, it's not somebody who wins the maximum votes wins, like you say in India or England. It's not like that. Here, the voting is proportionate to each state. The purpose is that even the smaller states thus have a greater importance, because the two biggest states are California and New York, and if somebody wins these states, then obviously he wins the election if it was a one vote principle. But in America, as I told you, this is not what is followed, and so the clout of these states like California and New York is reduced to a great extent, and they do not have votes commensurate with their population. And there are certain states in the Midwest, which are known as the battleground states. And these are the states really that matter, because this could be going either the Republican way or the Democratic way. As things stand, from what the reports I have been getting are that Donald Trump is way ahead in these states, and he's likely to win the election. But winning the election is easier said than done, because what's going to happen in America is terrible at the moment, the way it looks to me. Because America, which is supposed to be claiming to be the bastion of democracy, is really not all that. As I told you, the last election was greatly flawed. And there's no reason it's not going to happen again now. The Russians and the Chinese are fishing in troubled waters. And of course, Vladimir Putin would be very happy if Donald Trump wins, because he's got a soft corner for Donald Trump. And Donald Trump also has a soft corner for Vladimir Putin. The country that's likely to suffer is China, and to an extent India, if Donald Trump goes ahead with his plans. Now, he's got some very revolutionary ideas, and if I examine a few of them, you'll realize what it is. The first is that he's going to abolish income tax. That's a very, very contentious thing, and he's going to replace it by an all pervading tax. So there will be no income tax, but the taxes will be there on the goods which are sold in the market. And most of the goods are coming from China, and China is the country going to suffer, and to an extent India, because the tariff on the goods will be increased, and accordingly, the sale also will go down. So this is going to be a catch 22 state situation as far as we know, as far as the American economy is concerned. And another point which I must make in point here is that Donald Trump has all the time been talking of, let's make America great again. That's wonderful, very well said. But how's he going to do it? Now, his main contention is that we should stop the fruitless wars which have been fought by America for the last 75 years, right from the time of the Korean War, the Vietnam War, the Iraq War, the Afghanistan War, and now the Ukraine War. The Ukraine War is continuing, and I think he's going to put a stop to it. He's going to put Zelensky on notice, and Zelensky is mighty scared that Donald Trump is going to win the election because he stopped getting his monthly dole, the money which he's talking away in the Leeward Islands, the Windward Islands, Bahamas, and London, and he will be left high and dry, and I think the Russians will overrun Ukraine. But that is probably a small price to pay because the war in Ukraine was instigated by the Americans, and as you all know, it's a tinderbox could lead to a third world war. Donald Trump had negotiated the retreat from Afghanistan, but was so badly handled by Joe Biden that it came to be known as the mother of all retreats. Now, what's happened there is very bad, and another enemy which is stalking America is Iran. I think Donald Trump is going to get very tough on Iran as well as on Gaza. And he has made his intentions very clear that he's solely and only on the side of Israel. This should be a lesson to the Indians, led by Narendra Modi, that you can't have your eggs in a number of baskets. You've got to put your eggs in one basket and decide what exactly you're going to do. So if Israel is your friend, the Indians must come out wholeheartedly in support of Israel instead of just dilly-dallying here and there. It's got no meaning. And once Trump is in power, I don't think Modi can play the ball. Though he's a good friend of Modi, but his entire focus is on America. He wishes to end the Ukraine war. And another thing which will be interesting, if you remember when he was the president last time, he had two meetings with President Kim of North Korea, Kim Jong, and they were wonderful ones. The last meeting was in Singapore, and during the time Donald was the president, he didn't carry out a single nuclear or missile test. So probably he'll build bridges back with Kim and try to get peace in the East Asian continent. But the country that would be worried is China, because Donald Trump has realized, just as Ho Chi Minh, the Americans realized later, was not a pro-China stooge. Similarly, Kim Jong is not a stooge of the Chinese. And I think he's looking for a way out where he can exert himself. He's doing it already in Russia by sending 12,000 troops of the North Korean army into Ukraine. So this is a matter of alarm, and of course the Americans won't be too happy with the detente which India has had with China and a border settlement. But I must caution the Indian government that the Chinese are very, very treacherous people. They betrayed Pandit Nehru, they betrayed everybody, and there's no reason they won't do it now. But at the moment they are having a lot of economic difficulties, and once America comes there, they're going to have bigger difficulties because Donald Trump is going to impose more tariffs on them, on their goods, and they're going to find it very hard to sell, and the Chinese economy will go down. They are as it is at the end of the road. Well, they've got an 18 trillion economy, no doubt about it, but the fact remains that they are going to be in serious trouble. So the coming of Donald Trump is going to be, I would say, a trumpet, like when the king used to come in the olden days and the trumpeters used to blow the trumpet. It's going to be something like that. Donald Trump has also gone on record to say that NATO is an obsolete organization. It's a very, very revolutionary thought. And the Western allies, the small countries like Belgium, Holland, all of them are mighty scared. Because if Donald Trump goes ahead with his plan, NATO will become low priority for him. And his whole episode, rather his whole strength will be on America to make America great economically. See, America's got a debt of almost, I think, $3 to $4 trillion. I mean, people haven't thought about it. How is America going to get out of that debt? It's not going to be easy. And so I think it's not going to be easy for Trump either, but he's on the right track. If you stop all the wars, then perhaps there's a glimmer of hope. But then the military economic complex, the big companies making the weapons are going to suffer very badly, because if their money dries up, they dry up, they will become bankrupt, and that will be harming America. That is the reason the American establishment has been nurturing these war companies for almost 70 years. It's not going to be easy for Donald Trump to change that trend, but we'll have to wait and see. The point is that Donald Trump is going to get only 4 years. That's the American Constitution. He's already been president for 4 years, and as per the new amendment which has been made after Roosevelt was the president, passed when Harry Truman was the president, they had said that no American president can serve for more than 8 years. So Donald has already served 4 years, so he just got 4 years. And in 4 years, what's he going to do? Now that's the point. There's no continuity. I think the Americans might like to think about it. But there is something else brewing in America. And it's a very, very serious matter, because they're opponents of Trump also, and they're in great strength. And they feel he's going to change the Constitution. And there's a potent omen is there of a civil war in America. There's a possibility. I don't say it's a certainty, but it's there. And it was almost on when Donald Trump was defeated in the last election, when there were violent crowds which went and occupied Capitol Hill. Many were killed, and Donald Trump had to face the ire because they said he's organizing an insurrection against the American state. Well, that sort of situation could come again, but this time it could be the reverse if Donald Trump comes into power, because he's gone on record and said that 4 years is too little and American president should get more time. I agree. So I think the ball is in the court of the American people now, and they've got to decide what's going to happen. But one thing is there, Donald Trump has got a hardcore white vote bank. He's terribly anti-Muslim, and he is to an extent pro-India. And a lot of the members of his cabinet are going to be from India, like Vivek Ramaswamy, who was to be his running mate actually initially, before he took somebody else. And then there's Nikki Haley, who's also along with Trump. And they are Indians who are in that lineup there. So he's been sympathetic to the Indians all the time, and he's gone on record in one of the most famous statements which he made recently, and he said, "I will save the Hindus in Bangladesh." This is a very big statement from Donald Trump, and it should be an opener as to what exactly he believes in. He's anti-Iran, he's going to finish off Iran, he's anti-Pakistan, and he is pro-Israel all in all. I also feel that Israel has been greatly wronged, and India should come out 100% support of Israel. And I'll have to wait and see. I think Modi may change his tune a little bit now once Donald Trump comes back to power. Now, these are all conjectures, because the final result, I do not know what's going to happen, in the sense Donald Trump may win the popular vote and still not be president. You never know what's going to happen. So we'll have to wait and see, gentlemen, what happens in a few more days' time. Though many people are forecasting that Donald Trump will be president, I will also say the same thing, but I will hedge my bet. Well, gentlemen, I hope you like this video of mine. I'll be very happy if you can share it with your friends and come back to me for more. I love your comments. I'm so very happy. I'm My viewership base is running into lakhs at the moment. It's something which I never dreamed in my life because I was taking it as a hobby, but now I'm taking it as a serious hobby. So goodbye, friends, and Jai Hind.